It's been 5 months since Canada reported its first case of COVID-19. We're far from a cure, but potential treatments have been developed at record speeds. Heather Yourex-West looks at the promising drug therapies underway across the country.
In the race to find new therapies to fight the novel coronavirus, one of the biggest breakthroughs came when scientists in England discovered that a cheap and readily available steroid drug could effectively treat patients with COVID-19.
Prior to the last few weeks, you might have only had maybe about 50% of doctors that were using steroids in patients with severe COVID lung injury. Now I'd say almost 100% of doctors are using steroids in this population.
Dexamethasone doesn't target the virus itself. Rather, it works to treat inflammation caused by COVID-19. In a large clinical trial, the drug was found to help prevent 1 death in every 8 COVID-19 patients on ventilators.
So the dexamethasone right now is the therapy that I would say would be leading in terms of its benefit to patients. And then the next one that I mentioned was the remdesivir, which is the drug that specifically targets the coronavirus itself.
The antiviral drug has shown promise in clinical trials, both in shortening the duration of illness and reducing mortality. But the drug was only recently approved for use in Canada.
At the beginning of the pandemic, we were using it on a special access permit, but it took many days to obtain, so it really wasn't practical.
Meanwhile, another therapy that received considerable buzz early in the pandemic, thanks to endorsements from the U.S. president, failed to deliver results when examined in clinical trials.
I think everybody is pretty convinced that hydroxychloroquine does not work for COVID-19, and we were never using it here outside of clinical trials, but nowhere I think is using that even anecdotally now.
Of course, none of the new therapies are considered cures by any stretch, but when compared to what was available to physicians just 6 months ago, it's clear that in a very short period of time, the way this new illness can be treated has come a long way. Heather Yourex-West, Global News, Calgary.